Okay, and welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. We are continuing our conversation with Eric Van Horn. Eric, welcome again. Still recording today, but welcome again to the show. And wanted to kind of continue our conversation about franchising and the world of franchising. And we're going to get to you. I want to get into your story, your recent trip. But before we get into that, we had talked prior. You have a lot of things going on. We've been talking about the various franchises, master franchising, working with a franchise consultant. But talk to us a little bit about passive investing, things you're up to, recommendations, things to look at.
So I've been passive investing for years now, investing in cash flowing assets that are completely passive. Mm-hmm. And recently I've partnered with a good friend of mine, Justin Donald, to create a mastermind called Tribe of Investors. And what it is we have deals that we get access to that other people, we really want more people to have access to them. And so they pay us to be a part of this mastermind. And we do a lot of education. We bring strategies and things to them that most of the time it's just the ultra wealthy have access to. And it's amazing the things that certain demographics have access to in the world that even the average wealthy person doesn't know, right, hasn't been able to unpack. And there's amazing strategies out there. So that's one thing. But then we do have a lot of deal flow. And we educate on deal flow. We educate on how to protect the downside, the risk of all these deals. So that's been a really fun thing. But I got my start in passive investing quite a few years ago, and it was really through like apartment syndications, hotels, and what's fun about that is you put your money in, mm-hmm, and then you don't do anything with it. And then all of a sudden you're getting checks every month or every quarter. And then all of a sudden you get your money back, your full investment back, whether it's a refi on a property that the general partners have, or maybe it's the note is due. It was a promissory note with a technology company. Now you get your promissory note back and you still have equity in the company, or you still own the hotel or the apartment complex or the business that you invested in. So I really like deals that are shorter term deals where you can get your money back in 12 months or 24 months, or it's kind of the longest 36. I really like 2-year deals to get your money back, get paid a really good return on it, and be able to have equity or warrants or some type of opportunity to participate in the upside of the deal.
That's interesting. That is very interesting, because sometimes that does come up for the person that wants zero involvement. And sometimes I'll take a step back and say a business is always going to have some type of involvement. So let's get clear on what that is. And if there's zero time, similar to investing in the stock market, right? You do your due diligence, and you hope things go up a little bit different. I like this, and there's always a need for that. And it may be part of a diversification strategy. So if people wanted to, we're going to cover this at the end as well. But since we're on this topic, where do people get some more information on the tribe?
Yeah,
Tribe
go to
of Investors, right?
tribeofinvestors.com, and you'll find it there. And just put into some information. I'll send you some details. We are super low pressure with that. It's not cheap, and it's low pressure. So a lot of people aren't qualified to be in it, but if they are, we have I send them some really good private videos to watch, and then it's either a good fit or it's not, just like what you do. But yeah, here's what's unique about what we do with that. There's a lot of deals out there where people will bring the deal. If it's an apartment syndication deal or a hotel syndication deal, there's a general partner. The general partner will come and say, hey, do you want to invest in our deal as a limited partner? And then they give you the terms of the deal, and the general partner has different terms, or they have the opportunity to give different terms to different people. And that's just the way it works. That's the way a lot of these private equity or cash flow investing deals work. That's just normal out there. Mm-hmm. What Justin and I do is we have people that pay us a good amount of money every year to be a part of our group, but the deals that we bring to our members are deals that we invest in ourselves. Mm-hmm. One of us is going to invest into that deal, or both of us, and we don't have any special backdoor, extra cash, special deals worked out. We invest into that same deal. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these are off-market deals that nobody else has access to. And we get offered like, hey, if you bring us, $1 million or $2 million or $10, $20 million worth of investment capital from your group, from your tribe, we'll give you a kickback here or special this or special that. And we say, no, we want that for the entire group. So they get a better deal, and it's the same deal that we get. So that's something that's unique about that. But I want to leave the audience with this. There are so many strategies that the average person doesn't know about. Just know that. If you're listening to your a CPA or your advisor that's managing your money in the stock market, that's baby steps. That is like the beginning of the world that the average person that has excess capital should really have access to. So these strategies aren't reserved for the ultra wealthy who buy jets. They are for the person that wants to invest an extra $100,000 a year into cash flow passive investments.
And I will say to that, I completely agree. And you owe it to yourself to gather that information, right? I mean, I have people coming to me saying, I'm not interested in a franchise because I don't have $1 million to invest. And I said, well, who told you it cost $1 million to invest in a franchise? And so I heard a friend of mine bought a McDonald's. It cost him $1 million. So I think you owe it to yourself to just, so for the person that's never invested in this way before, their traditional, put my money in a 401k, invest in the stock market, there is some education for that first time, correct? So that there's that comfort
100%.
level. Cool.
And there's a comfort level, and I'll give a little teaser of a deal that we have right now. And probably not, I don't know how long this deal is going to remain open, but there's always other deals. You never want to FOMO into a deal or a passive investment. So there's always going to be more. Like one of them is there's a company that is that we know about that came to us to raise some capital, and we raised a good amount of capital, but it's a 13% interest. So we are paid every month on the 13% APR. So a check or direct deposit comes every month to me because I invest into that. It's a 3-year note. At the end of 3 years, I get my principal back. So if I invested $100,000, I get $100,000 back, and I still get equity in that company. And so if there's a big exit in that company, then it will be a good payday. And now I have all my chips off the table. I made a good return, and now I get to go redeploy that capital into a new investment and hopefully do the same type of thing. So that same $100,000 is returning a really good amount of return, and then I can redeploy that to have multiple investments in multiple businesses over the next 10, 15 years, that if it hits a home run, then I get to participate in that. And like with this particular company, one of the strategic buyers for it, and it's a cash flow positive company already, but one of the strategic buyers currently is Walmart.com. So these aren't like little businesses. This is a great business. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give a little flavor of what a deal looks like, just so the audience kind of knows.
Awesome. And we'll put all that, the website and everything in the show notes as well. So I want to jump in. So obviously we get into business ownership. There's many reasons, right? It's not just people think of money, but I know as I've gotten older, it's really time freedom. That's my biggest thing. I spend as much time with my family and kids, at least while they want to spend time with me, right? But they're hitting the teenage years. So we shall see, to be determined. But we get into business ownership because it does provide you all these various freedoms. And if you follow Dan Sullivan, and I've talked about it on the show, he talks about all the various freedoms. But the biggest one for me is time. And you had a recent trip with everything going on in the world. You were able to travel to Poland. Tell us. I don't want to take away your thunder here. Tell us a little bit about that. Exactly why. Not why did you go, but just the whole journey, how you were able to help people out in Poland, both in Ukraine.
100%. So Dan Sullivan, like I love his stuff, Strategic Coach, some great books that he has out there, Who Not How. Love his stuff. Even before Russia invaded Ukraine, I went on a 2-week family vacation trip to Mexico, brought my parents along, my wife and our 3 daughters. We spent a week at an Airbnb overlooking the ocean, which was incredibly relaxing. And then another week at a resort, which was different, not as relaxing, but a lot of fun, especially for the girls. So I took off work. Like that was a time for me, 2 weeks, my team here, it's a small team. I have my right-hand guy, Caleb, and then I have Stacy, my executive assistant, that do a lot of stuff for me. So I use that vacation as a testing time for me to see how much I was actually working in my business, even though I told myself I wasn't working in it very much. I knew that I was probably working in it more than I actually was. So I would wake up, I would spend an hour in the morning on emails, and I would send it to them. And I was realizing I'm doing way too much stuff. And they were like, Eric, we want to take more off of your plate. So that was a very productive vacation that we had. And I got a lot of things off of my plate that I had my hands in that I shouldn't have had my hands in. So, and then about 2 weeks after I got back, or a month after I got back from vacation with the family, everything was Russia invaded Ukraine. And I reached out to someone that I knew that was going to be sending in kind of a scouting team there to see what kind of help was needed on the borders. And so I sent her an email and I'm like, what kind of help do you need? She's like, Eric, I don't know. We don't really know what's happening there, but I do know that we do need to help. And we need people that are connected that can go help. I'm like, great. I've got time because I loaded my team up with more work. I removed myself even more from the business. So I was confident that I had the time. And I said, great, I'll go. And I put a post out there on Facebook and said, hey, anybody have any connections for me in Poland? I'll be up and down the border.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put a post out and I got so many comments on that. And it helped me realize my worlds were colliding from friends in churches around the country that I knew, to business friends, to investing friends, to mastermind friends from a dad's group that I'm a part of, to like my worlds just collided. And I was getting so many different contacts to so many different people in Poland. And so I put up a GoFundMe type page, and I said, anybody that donates, 100% of this is going to supplies or to do things that are going to have immediate impact. I'm paying for my own flight, my own hotel, my own food. Everything is I'm paying for myself. So your donations go directly to a real need. And so that's so all of a sudden it was a disaster, man. It was a disaster getting out of South Dakota to Poland, like a flat tire, big snowstorm, massive delays, getting Delta to meet me at the gate that says, hey, get in the cart. We're going to go through back tunnels to get you to your international flight on time. I'm like, why are you doing this? They're like, well, we at Delta like to surprise and delight our higher end customers. And I'm like, well, you certainly did that. So after a lot of tense moments, I found myself on a plane, landed in Amsterdam, had a good breakfast, found myself in Poland, went out to dinner that night. And then it was go time. And I had 2 days of meetings with different connections that I had from people on Facebook helping me get connected. And I met with, and then I started to go to the borders, and from the small borders to the large borders. And I was doing multiple different things. I was doing like getting my hands dirty, doing the hands-on work, like helping people that have just crossed the border get to the line to be able to get processed so they can get some food and get on a bus and get some transportation or find a place to stay. And I was doing that. I was organizing different things. I was documenting some things, and I was learning who needed help and some of the big organizations that had a lot of people, had a lot of money that weren't doing a whole lot either. So I saw all of it. So Poland was amazing. It was heartbreaking seeing the stories that are just now coming out where, we're in April, stories that are coming out now, I was seeing and hearing about a month ago. I got the call, I would get these phone calls and messages of things actually happening there that are just incredibly heartbreaking. And so I would break down in tears. I would be on the highest of high because I would see people doing amazing things to help other people out. And I got to bring my family into it. Like an example of that is I was on the border. There's a lady that just crossed with like 6 or 9 puppies, and in this box that she had, and this girl loved animals. My girls love animals. So I FaceTimed my girls. I'm like, girls, you're not going to believe what just happened. And so this lady who loves animals that just had an amazing experience crossing the border was like smiling, showing my girls her puppies. And they had like a little bonding moment, smiling at each other. But I was able to bring my family into my whole experience there in the Poland-Ukraine border. I got to buy I got to buy it using people's donated money, a van that went into Ukraine to deliver food and medical supplies into Kyiv, and then bring people out into safety. And this was before it was, you couldn't do that.
Right.
So I was able to do practical things like that. I bought a ton of blankets because at the time people just didn't have blankets to get over the border. But I'll kind of wrap up with this. Sometimes I had my mastermind. I was on mastermind calls at the time too. I had like my tribe of franchisees and franchisors that pay me money to be a part of my tribe. I had calls, and one time I was on the border, the main border called in Przemysl, and called Medica is the board. It's the one that you see on the news. And I was walking around, and all of a sudden I realized I was listening to a guy play the piano that some of you have probably seen on the news channels. And I showed it to my mastermind, and it was just dead silence on the other end. But it was just like, what an amazing moment to let people that are in my world kind of experience this real time with me. So to kind of bring this to a close, I had 2 other friends that said, Eric, because of your Facebook post, I'm now going to, one of them's in Poland right now, and one of them is in Moldova. One of them raised over $50,000 to do what I did, to buy supplies. One of them raised over $1 million to do the same thing, and he's got a team of 3 of them over there. So it's just really cool to see one guy makes one decision, goes and does something, then the butterfly effect of that, how 2 other guys go and do even more incredible stuff than what I was doing. And they're probably having more impact with their network than I even had with them. So it's really neat to just kind of see how that comes full circle. And I really will finish with this. One of the best things that I was able to do is help raise money for one particular organization that goes in and rescues orphans that are coming out, that are or getting ready to get killed or they die because of starvation or whatever it is. So they're going in undercover, Kevlar blankets, and rescuing in hot war zone areas, getting them into safe areas. And that's not the main thing that they do. Like, their main thing is to stop trafficking from happening. And so they're rescuing orphans, they're getting medical supplies in, but their real thing is this is a human trafficking person's dream there. It's a nightmare for everybody, but it's what the bad people like. And so you got war going on to make a bad situation even worse. You got bad people in there trying to do bad things to all these children and young women that are coming out, and this organization's doing things to stop that. And I'm in constant communication with them and doing some things that I can't even talk about right now because I know too much. And so that that at the end of the day is the ultimate time freedom, why I like to have passive income, why franchising has provided me the lifestyle to be able to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, whether it's vacation with the kids, whether it's doing podcasts like this, or going and doing things like that on the other side of the world.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you for going. And yes, it definitely inspired a lot of people to think, well, what can I do? And it's like, well, we just saw Eric go out there, and you're right, it was a butterfly effect. We have our local mayor next to our town recently went. We have friends going, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So yes, definitely inspired. So we greatly appreciate that. And when in doubt, not in doubt, when you're uncertain as to what you can do, there are options. If you can't actually get out there, there are ways to donate. So if there are any links, and I'll get that from you after the show, unless you have a link or two you want to give.
No, I don't have any links. I will. I'm setting up a place for people to donate where it's tax deductible, but that's not done yet. And but there are some great organizations out there that are doing some really cool things. So, and that's one of the things that I love. Like I raised like $20,000 from one Facebook post. And people would donate. And I saw people donating $20, and I saw people donating a lot more. And me being the conduit, being the guy that just had the money kind of run through my bank account, it was so amazing to know, like, the person that just donated $20 was probably a big deal to them. And I got to buy first aid supplies that are probably saving somebody's life over on the other side of the world.
Awesome. If you have those links, this show won't go out till about 3 weeks. Definitely send that to me. We can add those to the show notes. And then I want to wrap up with any other, doesn't have to be just franchising, any other advice that you would give the aspiring first-time business owner. And if you want to touch on, I believe we talked, and again, since the show is going to be broadcasted in 3 weeks or so, rebranding, I think you had mentioned of your business.
Yeah. So so here's me in a nutshell. I got a company called Scalable Franchise. Just go to the website, and I've got my Franchise Secrets podcast on there. You can kind of see what I do. I help franchisees. I help franchisors. That's at the end of the day what I do. And I do a lot of it through education and helping get people connected to the right people. So I have masterminds, and this is just advice. Whether you are a franchisee, you want to look at joining my mastermind, or you're a franchisee or a business owner and you want to just level up your game. Right. There's organizations like Entrepreneurs Organizations. There's coaching like Strategic Coach. You mentioned Dan Sullivan. There's so many ways to level up your game as a person, as a dad. I'm a part of a group called Front Row Dads that I pay money to be a part of. My point is, if you want to level up, you need to pay to level up. Like you can only go so far by just learning free things on YouTube and whatnot. Pay to level up, because you are now it's now an investment, and you're investing into yourself. And if you pay to be around in groups, you're around other people that paid to be in that group as well. And you are around high performers. And I'll tell you what, I started to do that about I don't know how many years ago, 10 years ago. And it changed the trajectory of my net worth, of the value that I'm able to give other people, and just to change my entire life. So don't be afraid to pay to be a part of groups, and start out wherever you're comfortable. If it's a little bit of money, just start paying and grow your network, because I've seen it. Your network is your net worth. I've lived that. And if you're uncomfortable doing it, I always like to get in rooms that I'm uncomfortable with. So one of the things that I've done is I got comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm just a guy, a straight C student from the middle of nowhere in South Dakota that's been able to do some pretty cool things.
Awesome. Well, listen, I really appreciate it. We could have been talking for hours here. Appreciate all the stuff. I follow you as well. So on Facebook, on the various groups. So thanks for everything. I appreciate it. And we usually communicate via Facebook Messenger. So it was nice to have a long chat. This was our first 2-part episode, so congrats to that. We'll see, and hopefully it's all edited correctly. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate the time. Looking forward to catching up, and we'll put all the. So actually, I forgot to mention, this is the Scalable Franchise. Best way to reach you is that. So anyone has a question, not certain, they want to learn a little bit more. Is that the spot, or is there better if they're just kind of?
That's a good spot. Scalable Franchise. The other thing is, you want to get a part of the Franchise Secrets Facebook group. It's a great community. FranchiseSecretsGroup.com. And but I would say this, like, I appreciate you doing the Franchise Freedom podcast and delivering value day in and day out. It's not easy. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and what you do. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, cool. Eric, again, thanks. I appreciate it. We'll talk very soon.